We've been telling you for months now about the growing power of the big tech companies whose brand of surveillance capitalism has come to shape our politics and culture in ways that many people don't perceive. Tonight, we want to give you a very specific example of that. It's both a look into the near future and a terrifying illustration of the control these companies seek over our daily lives. We recently reviewed several patents filed by Google. As we describe them, ask yourself if you're comfortable giving this much power to unelected technocrats you have never met. In the first patent, filed in September of 2016, Google envisions how it could send you personalized advertising based on what a camera observes in your home. In the illustration that Google submitted to the federal government, the Patent Office, a camera in your bedroom sees a Godfather novel on your nightstand next to your bed and uses that to steer you to watching the movie. If you think that's creepy, prepare yourself because it gets a lot creepier. In another patent application from September 2016, Google imagines how it could take control of your parenting, your relationship with your children. Google's smart home system could detect children near a liquor cabinet, for example, or in their parents' bedroom, infer that, quote, mischief is occurring and deliver a verbal warning. In another example, Google imagines a hypothetical child called Benjamin. Google's cameras would be watching Benjamin at all times, carefully. They could see if he's playing outside or using electronics. Presumably, they'd also try to use that information to sell him things at some point, because that's the whole point of Google. The same patent also discusses how the smart home could coach families on, quote, areas of improvement. For example, if a family doesn't spend enough time together, eating together, in Google's estimation, Google might scold them and suggest that they set a goal of eating more often together. That is Google's description, not ours, by the way. We contacted Google for comment on this, and the company, and we're assuming it was a person and not a robot, replied this way, quote, we file patent applications on a variety of ideas that our employees come up with. Some of those ideas later mature into real products or services, some don't. In other words, don't worry, we're not spying on you yet. We just have the patent for it. Of course, tech is also dangerous because it is deeply addictive. In fact, more than anything, it's deeply addictive. Now, a group of early Google and Facebook employees are teaming up to check the companies they helped create. Tristan Harris is a former Google employee, heads up this new group, the Center for Humane Technology. Jim Steyer is the founder of Common Sense Media, which advocates for children, and they join us tonight. Thank you both for coming on. So you describe these products as addictive. What do you mean by that?
Well, what most people don't realize, they see addiction and they think it's happening by accident. We're addicted to lots of things. We worried about our kids in the 1970s. They were addicted to gossiping on the telephone. What this misses is that today, behind the other side of the screen when you're using it, there's 100 engineers whose entire job, not because they're evil, but their job is to figure out how do I keep you coming back to the product. So YouTube wants to autoplay the next video. Snapchat wants to put the number of days in a row in something called a streak next to every single person in your kid's contacts. They say, if you've got 30 friends, they say, here's the number of days in a row you've sent a message to each friend. And it keeps each of them hooked because the business model, so long as it's advertising, is how do I hold on to your attention? Because the entire stock price is one-to-one linked with how much attention I get. And that's the problem.
So we know, Jim, that screen time has consequences.
Huge consequences.
And it hurts children.
Correct. It can. For sure.
And there are a lot of disturbing metrics about how kids and young adults are doing, and some of them are linked to tech use. Correct. So why has there been no public recognition of this, no widespread?
You know, it's interesting because I run Common Sense, the biggest kids media group in the country. It's taken time. I think part of it is we got so excited about the incredible technological innovation that Silicon Valley brought us. And there are amazing, we're not anti-tech. Tristan worked at Google. We're not anti-tech at all. Common Sense helps you find the good stuff. But there's clearly been no regulation whatsoever. That's not even at the societal, no real discussion. And I think what's happening, you're a dad just like I am. My kids are starting to go, I'm not sure I really want this in my life all the time. I don't want this constantly pinging me or wanting me to come there. And I think, Tristan told you what addiction is, but 60% of kids in the United States believe they're addicted to their cell phone. That's a really big deal.
But I wonder, do the tech companies know this? So you worked in them.
Yeah.
Are they aware? They must be aware. Yes. You're saying they're designed this to be addictive. Do they have moral qualms about this?
Well, so actually, in 2013, I created a presentation. It was the first Google memo, before the second one got really famous, saying we have a moral responsibility as Google, because no matter what we do, we'll bump our elbow and 1 billion people's attention goes that way.
Yes.
Or you bump your elbow and 1 billion people's attention goes that way. So how do you ethically steer 2 billion people actually their thoughts when they look at a smartphone or a feed, because from the moment we wake up in the morning to 150 times we check per day, it's like it's never been easier to see as a kid. You see, if you wake up, you check your phone, and you see photo after photo of your friends having fun without you. Is that how we want to ethically care for all these millions and millions of kids' attention?
Do you think, Jim, that there are enough people at these companies who can see clearly enough to pull back from this a little bit?
The key is at the top, because here's the deal. Tristan's a whistleblower. This is the cigarette case all over again.
I agree.
Tristan, we were just with a group of his engineering colleagues who've come forward and say, enough is enough. We got to tell you this was unintentional. So the key is the leadership at the top. I actually tell you, this is a major challenge now to the people at the very top of the key tech companies in the United States. What values do you have? Is it just about how much money you can make and how much attention, how much the arms race of attention you can win so you can monetize it by selling ads? Or are there other values?
I couldn't.
And by the way, this is not a partisan issue, by the way.
Right, exactly.
Everybody as a parent knows this. All across the country.
And it's kind of wrecking the society, and I think we all feel that way.
And then how do you hold them accountable?
I couldn't be rooting for you guys more. Really, Godspeed. I hope you'll come back anytime.
We will.
Please do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good to see you, Tucker.